What's up, everybody? It's your favorite confused reviewer's favorite nerd, part 2. And today we are looking at the Diaclone DA-56 Versriser unit shadow caliber. Dude, I don't know. We're looking at this one, all right? Once again, this is on loan from Eddie. Once again, I don't really know my way around this stuff, but figured what the hell. Might as well take a minute and go through it and have a look. So we'll go ahead and do that. Once again, we kind of have to go about this in a little bit of a different way just because of how sort of integrated everything is and how sort of complicated. Not complicated, that's the wrong choice of words, but how many options there are for everything. So we're just gonna kind of go in the order of the instructions. There's one thing I forgot to mention about the last set. Actually, two things. For one, the pilot's feet are magnetized, so you can stand them up on a pin, which is pretty sweet. Secondly, the instructions, even though they're in Japanese, I imagine, are absolutely phenomenal. Super well done instructions, which is appreciated by me. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look. And we'll start with the main unit here, which is a little itty bitty fella. But pretty interesting nonetheless. You get butterfly joints here, back and forth. The red metallic paint looks awesome. I'll raise it up just a taste. And both on the knees and the shoulders. You get a swivel for the shoulders as well. The outward movement is extremely limited. You're pretty much stuck to here. The elbow is, it's technically double jointed, but it's really only single. But it still gets you a great range. And then the wrist is on a hinge, but it also swivels as well. So check, check, check. Then for the body with the orange translucent, we have the blue metallic paint, which looks good. We have a waist swivel where it plugs into the lower body and a bit of an ab crunch back. The hips are on little ball pegs. They get you out to the side for the full Van Damme, forward and back for the full Monty, and a little bit of a thigh swivel. We have a knee, which is double jointed and get you pretty much the full run, but you got big old feet that get in the way. Now the feet themselves are on a hinge, so you get an ankle tilt up, an ankle tilt down, and then they connect to a ball peg at the foot where you get your ankle rocker. And then you get a heel movement that'll help with support, and the toe, you get a toe tilt down, but that's not really gonna help with much of anything. The fingers are on a pin, on a base pin knuckle, so that's kind of cool. Now, once again, the cockpit opens up to allow for our driver and flyer, who has the silver paint on the face, has the little gold emblem on the chest. The articulation is the same as the other little ball pegs for shoulders that pretty much just get you around, plus a hinge at the elbow. The head is on a little ball peg, so you can, oh, I thought it was. Maybe this one's not. Interesting. You do get a little ab crunch. You also get movement on the hips at ball pegs that get you pretty much just forward and back, a little bit out to the side, and a knee hinge. But you can definitely put this guy in the driver's seat of your vehicle here, and then sit the cab down, and or the top part down, he'll sit right in there. Real quick before we move on, I also want to show that you can take this backpack piece and plug this into the kind of regular robot mode, and then you have these guns kind of sitting up over. And like, look, this is just like the previous one where there's a ton of different configurations you can do. The world is sort of your oyster here. Let's go ahead and get this guy in one of his first modes. So bend here at the ankles 90 degrees back so that the foot sits up in the cavity of the back of the knee. And you want this one spun around. Why is that having so much of a problem? Okay. Then you want to rotate that back, the whole cab back, and then spin the legs around, and they'll peg back in to the side of the chest. But it's a little challenging for me to grit to, but we'll do it. Anyway, all right, and then take the shoulders, use your reverse butterfly joint. You got pegs back here at the back of the shoulder that will peg into the back. And then you want to kind of, how does it go? You want to have your fist, oh yeah, so you want to spin these up like this and like this, and then have your hands kind of balled up, I believe, and twisted underneath. And that's your kind of your first little mode there. You know, it's decent still enough. Your cab will still open and close, like maybe a little underwater unit, I guess. I don't know. There it is. So you get this piece as an accessory. We have blue kind of metallic paint there, orange paint on the wings, looks great. This will actually open up these swivel. Then you can take this and peg these into the bottom of the toes here. And close this up. But I'll tell you, it doesn't, mine's not really gonna close super tight, it looks like, but I'm not forcing it. There it is, basically, but we have a couple more pieces to add, namely these two wings, which have the orange paint on the black plastic, and you just take them and plug them into the side here. Maybe down here, yeah. And once again, all of these, like, a lot of this stuff is just super integrated, you know, so that you can have a ton of different looks. Yes, and you want the vents up. And we're not finished quite yet. You have these two guns, one for each of you. Just gray plastic here. They do hinge at the base, and you can take them and plug them in to the top. And this is, once again, I believe, a finished vehicle mode, very similar to the previous, obviously, with just a couple little different bells and whistles, namely that the guns are sitting up at the top, and you got these, like, this wings that looks more like a jet than an underwater, you know, underwater vehicle. But yeah, cool enough. Just to give you an idea, I mean, it's very tiny, half the size of Tiger Tracks, maybe 60% the size. But yeah, cool enough. Now, he also comes with 4 of these adapters. You can actually take them. I had the wings actually flipped around the wrong way, 50-50. I never won one in my life. So make sure they're in a point of origin where you have access to that port there. And plug in your 2 adapters to each side. And then take this piece, which he also comes with, which is just black plastic. Open up these 2 sections here. Then, using your adapters, slide these in on both sides. Oh, come on, girl. And then lock them back up so that you have this kind of section sitting on the back nicely with the ports accessible. Then you take this, and this has 2 ports on it. Connect the port with this one peg that sits in the middle. And then slide this on to that section right there. And that's a bit of a tight fit, but doable. Then you kind of just sort your wings, up, up, down, down. And this is sort of your main ship mode, which is fine. I think it works well enough given what it is. It looks like a starfighter or something. I don't really have any complaints about it. The wings, the back of the wings is really what makes it, you know, but that's okay. Great sculpt. We have the orange paint that comes through, the gunmetal here in the back. I'm not sure what you need this for. It probably attaches to something else that you can kind of, actually, we might even take a look at that. So, yeah, you know, fine. We're going to talk about this back wing set a little bit more. But in regard to what this thing, you know, is, and I mean, there it is. Now it's the size of a masterpiece car. So I think that'll work. All right, so we're going to take some of this stuff off of this guy, namely this adapter section, and get back to kind of the core piece. We're going to get rid of this as well. And because there's another option that you got here. It's minor, but you can kind of unpeg the sides of the legs here and twist these around and then use these like little claws for like an underwater thing as well. Right? So like that's a whole another look. And like I said with the last one, like a lot of this stuff you can kind of keep messing with and keep messing with and keep messing with until you get more and more looks. Then you can kind of put these legs down and now you have like a little ATST walker. Do you know what I mean? So there's just a lot of options that you can do with this stuff in terms of what you want or what you're looking for, which is really just a playability thing. I don't even know I mean, aside from what they include in the instructions, you know, which is probably just them messing around, I don't even know there's a real right and wrong to this stuff. Let's do a couple more things. We'll take these guns off, and we'll bring the arms back around. If I can unplug this one. All right. And then we'll take our handy dandy wing set and plug them into here, I think. Which we can, but we have to take this piece off. And then you can plug this in. And then you got this, like, you know, Batwing monster, which is fine, you know. He also, in this mode, can use his guns and hold them, you know, which is kind of cool, I guess. And I think that's it for this mode. But we're still not quite done. So we can flip the wings down, flip this up, angle these down, and then you have like a sled for him, kind of almost Green Goblin style, and his feet will actually peg in to the bottom here. And, you know, now you can sort of rain down terror, I guess. Which, you know, it'll do. Nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? And then it actually integrates with a whole other set. So we'll show those real quick. So then lastly, if you go back to the original kind of underwater sea mode, he's supposed to fit in the chest of the other characters as well. Let's see. Yes. And then, as if that wasn't kind of, you know, cool enough, you're not quite finished yet. You can add the backpack on by utilizing the two ports where you had the swords kind of being stored. So now you have that look, and of course you could interchange this with the actual kind of proper head if you wanted as well. And I think you're supposed to have these guns, you know, up here. You know, so like, once again, it's just a matter of integrating everything and, you know, I guess to an extent, sort of being creative with an 8 in the middle. You know, and keep it plugging away, I guess, is like kind of the name of the game here. And it can be utilized in the alt mode of this as well, which I'll show here pretty quickly. So then we have this, like if you put it in this, so if you look back at, you know, the previous video, the Diaclone stuff, you have this. You can take this and use the mushroom peg and have like a whole different type of ship as well. Do you know what I mean? So once again, a lot of different stuff you can do. A lot of different options, so on and so forth. That's kind of the name of the game here. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. The negatives are, in my opinion, is in this particular case, the kind of identity of the robot is a little bit more nondescript, which is ultimately fine and totally subjective. But for me, it's like this one is one of those ones that like it just doesn't look like anything to me. Whereas the previous one, like it kind of has an identity. It has a little particular look that looks like a character and there's a story behind, whereas this one sort of just definitely looks more like a vehicle, and the vehicle once again is sort of nondescript and abstract, and in that regard it becomes a little bit more meaningless to me. And that's to say, on top of the fact that all of this stuff is kind of meaningless to me, the Diaclone stuff. Add on to that the kind of body section, when it's in the sort of aquatic vehicle mode looking thing, it doesn't plug in to the previous bot really great. And I'm sure you could do better if you fiddle with it more and spend a little bit more time with it, etc., etc. But while the previous one was like very user friendly, this one's just a little bit less so in that regard. The positives, though, are almost exactly identical. Like, the integration of everything, it's a fun piece to kind of mess with. Ton of options to every piece of it. The sort of configurations, and I feel like I use that word way too much in this review, but they're sort of only limited to your imagination and creativity. Everything kind of moves the way it's supposed to. The joints are toleranced properly. The materials feel good. The sculpt is decent. There's paint accents throughout. To be fair, it's just another decent offering. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised, being as though I haven't felt like Takara has had a whole ton of decent offerings recently. My personal opinion, that is. And I didn't mean to say that like Yoda. But yeah, if you like transforming robots, if you like kind of messing with toys, like if you like the playability of toys a lot, if that's a big deal for you, I think that you'll have a blast with this set. So in that way, I can definitely recommend it. If you're not into it, there's nothing about this that's going to make you be any more into it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.